Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great. So as far as MLOps hierarchy of needs, w- what do you think is the base and how does it go up?
Exactly, and that's the tricky question. It's like, so I started thinking, yeah, what is really required? What is required to do a project, to build an ML product? What do you really need? So I kind of started thinking about that, and this is just a bit of a first draft. But I tried to draw a triangle, and no matter which way I spun it, I couldn't really fit it into a triangle, because there was sort of two dimensions. I maybe could have done it if it was a pyramid, actually, but I thought that a pyramid might have been beyond my my graphics ability. So I went with a table instead. As a data scientist, we love tables. And so I kind of had these two axes where I was trying to think of like, well, you can't really do data science without software engineering. And you can't really do software engineering without having some kind of framework in place. So, all right, that's kind of one dimension. And then there was another dimension where I kind of saw that some things are required and some things are not. Like you don't need like full automation to be able to build a product. Like you don't even really need provenance in an ML pipeline to build a product. You really can just get away with, deploying a model, and there you go. You can just about make it work. But there was this level of there was this kind of idea of, but it is valuable. It becomes valuable over time when you have more and more in production. You have more to manage. Things start going wrong and need to go backwards and forwards in time. Then that becomes really valuable. And so I came up with like these two axes. We've got on the x-axis, we've got the kind of the value of having a particular concept in place, and on the y-axis in the rows there, we've got kind of three sort of key parts of the problem as I see it. So from top to bottom, we've got data or data related concepts, data science, ML all fit in there. Underneath that, we've got software engineering. And then finally at the bottom, I couldn't really come up with a decent name for this, but I eventually went with governance. And this is the idea that in order to deliver a product, you need some structures in place to be able to do that. Like even if we just ignore the data part for a second, and this was just a pure software project, if you were trying to develop and deploy a software project, that you wouldn't really be able to do that without having the backing of a team or a company or a process to be able to develop that. So I kind of thought that there was this like process layer that was required at the bottom. Yeah, and then going across on the x-axis, I tried to sort of segment the best practices into sort of three values. One where it's just absolutely required. If you don't have this, then you can't do anything. You don't have a product. You could kind of think of that as like MVP type stage. To be viable, it kind of has to, you have to have all of those things. Then there's a second layer where things start to add value, and they only add value when things start to scale. And then finally, there's like this golden optimal region. And I think the thing I'd like to point out in this is that in all three boxes, I've put the word automation, and that's kind of the holy grail of everything that we do. And that is to automate everything so that we don't have to do it anymore. And that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you how you look at it. But if you can automate all of the processes and all of the governance, then that will make everybody's life a lot easier. If you can automate all of the software, you don't need to do any software related tasks anymore. That's great. And finally, if you're automating the models and the things relating to the data itself, then, well, we're out of a job, I guess. But I don't think that'll happen very, very quickly. But that's kind of the golden state. So does that all make sense? Any questions based upon that? And maybe we can talk about the sort of individual topics a little bit more in a minute.